Hello, and welcome to another episode of the podcast, where we will reassure you that football is fixable. Alright, Sess.
Alright.
Yeah, we haven't got Dan with us today.
No, thank God.
Wow.
Back to the OGs, you know.
Ah, yeah, the originals, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How are you? You good?
I just can't handle too overly biased people, you know. I can handle
Yeah, I know.
talking
You
to
and Dan,
you.
man, it's just...
Oh, yeah, is that right?
It's just heavy.
You know,
It's
I'm
too
touted
heavy.
as the least biased football fan in history.
By yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, Sess. Well, it's a serious episode today.
Very serious.
It's a big moment in football, in our football liveliness.
Yeah, it's actually genuinely quite sad, isn't it?
Yeah, I still am emotionally reacting to this, actually.
Yeah.
I'm a bit tearful already. It's quite sad.
Yeah, this is the announcement that Gary Lineker is going to be stepping down as the host of Match of the Day, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't think it would hit me this hard.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's just the host, but I think the fact that it's been big news on the news in general, not just sports news.
Yeah,
I think it shows this is actually the same case for a lot of people around the world.
it's just so iconic, isn't it? A Match of the Day is an iconic show. It's
Yeah.
like a British institution, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every Saturday and now Sunday nights as well. In our lifetime, we've had the lucky kind of the fortune to have that.
Yeah.
And obviously Gary is the one on the Saturday night, sort of the key show sort of thing, and you look forward to seeing it every evening, because in this country you can't watch the 3:00 game, so a lot of the games we look forward to seeing them on Match of the Day. I know you can get highlights and things these days, and it's a bit more accessible, but for most of our lifetime we've looked forward to the show that he hosted.
Yeah, and it's become synonymous with him. And also he was involved in pretty much every World Cup and Euros and sports personality. He's just always... He's so good that he's just been involved in so many sports-related...
He is, that's the thing. It's not just... because he is a former player, and we'll go in a bit of kind of his background, I suppose, won't we, in a short while. But it's kind of... He's become kind of just generally... Is it fair to say he's a national treasure?
Yeah, I would say so.
He sort of is, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he's someone we look up to, and we look up to from our kind of podcast side of things as well. We look to him and to his example and how good he is at presenting and things like that. And find that we can't match any of it.
He took our idea of the podcast and then set it up before we did.
Yeah.
I think that's how it worked.
That's it. Yeah, exactly that. So thanks, Gary. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
You're welcome. But
shall we begin by looking at his footballing career? Because a lot of the people that you teach, for example, the kids,
the younger generation,
they wouldn't
forget
have known.
that.
Yeah, they would have been born well after he retired.
Well, I was interviewing this week, and the date of births were 2009.
Oh,
so I'll just let that sink in for a minute. Accept that. Look on your face right now. There you go.
Yeah, wow. Anyway, right. So, Gareth Winston Lineker. All right.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Winston.
Even that's British heritage, isn't it?
Yeah. So he was born in Leicester, and he's a Leicester boy, isn't he? We all know that.
And that's part of his charm as well, isn't it? We know he's a Leicester City fan.
Yeah, a huge Leicester City fan.
Yeah.
His career started in 1978, and he started in Leicester, played for them for 7 years, and scored 95 goals in 194 appearances.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's actually elite level. Basically, one every 2 games.
Yeah.
It's only recently that you've got people like Messi and Ronaldo that have skewed everything. So it makes it seem as though you need to score a goal a game to be elite. But one every 2 games, that's elite.
Brilliant. He's one of the best English strikers, and I'm sure you're about to prove why.
Well, he then moved to Everton. Now, Everton at this time, in the mid-80s, they were one of the best, if not the best team. They had a period of about 3-4 years where they just won every trophy.
They were the top side,
Yeah, so it was them and Liverpool. So in 1985... he moved to Everton, and basically in 1985 Everton had won the league, and they basically wanted to retain the league by making themselves stronger, get the best striker in the league at the time. So in 41 appearances he scored 30 goals. Now that's just for the league. I think he scored 40 in all competitions.
Nice.
And Everton came second that season and didn't win a trophy.
Yeah.
And then the season after that, Everton won the trophy again. So the joke is that he cost Everton the title that season.
Yeah.
But he became an Everton legend. What can I say? A genuine Everton legend. So in 1986 then, he only 1 year at Everton. He moved to Barcelona.
Yeah, the great Barcelona.
Yeah, 3 years he was there. Played 103 games and scored 42 goals. He was put on the right wing a lot.
I think it was under Cruyff, wasn't it? Johan Cruyff was at Barcelona and he moved him to the wing or something?
Yeah, so he got brought over by Bobby Robson.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah, and then Cruyff took over, and then Cruyff... he actually didn't want Lineker in the end, so he just kind of put him out on the wing.
But that was a time as well when they were only allowed a couple of foreign players in a team.
Him and Mark Hughes.
So it's him and Mark Hughes, yeah. So because of that, it was restricting him. It stopped Johan Cruyff from buying other foreign players.
Yeah.
So it was kind of that side. So he played on the wing, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So after that, 1989, he moved to Spurs. He was there for 3 years, 105 goals. 105 games and 67 goals.
Did he win any trophies?
Yeah, I doubt it. A lot of people think that he went to Barcelona just for a couple of years, didn't play much. He played basically as many games as he did for Barca as he did for Spurs.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. And then 1992, that was the last time he played for England, and he moved to Japan, Nagoya Grampus 8.
Oh, yeah.
And he was there for 2 years, and he was seen as like the marquee signing. They were trying to make the Japanese league like more global in a sense. But he went there injured. He had a broken toe or something. So he was already injured when he got there, and he couldn't play for a while. So in the 2 years he was there, he played 18 games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No.
The earliest memory I have of Gary Lineker isn't actually me seeing Gary Lineker. It's my dad telling me that I was always excited seeing Lineker on the screen when we were watching the J League.
That's probably because it's such a rare thing.
It's a rare thing
that
you
ever played. So
exactly. I also remember another. I think he was a Colombian player called Ramos. He had this huge curly hair, and he was so popular in Japan. He brought out a range of Ramos curries. His Japanese curry range. Yeah, I always loved it. Shall we have Ramos curry? Yeah, brilliant. And I actually thought that was a type of curry as well, as opposed to Ramos being a person.
I thought it was like a type of rice or noodle. Or
yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
So his England career...
Lovely to hear a bit of your childhood there. Can we get back to Gary Lineker?
Sorry, yeah. So his England career went from 1984 to 1992, so that's 8 years. He played 80 games and scored 48 goals.
This is what I grew up hearing stories about how great he was for England.
Yeah,
he's clearly that was a world-class striker.
Yeah, that would have been one behind Bobby Charlton, and would also just been behind what Kane and Rooney would have overtaken him, because they're first and second, aren't they? But other than that, no one else got anywhere near it. And he scored, 10 goals in the World Cup.
That's the thing. It's doing it in... Didn't he win the Golden Boot one World Cup as well?
He did, yeah. And he was in the 1986 England team who lost 2-1 against Maradona.
Yeah, Maradona, yeah.
Yeah, and he was saying that if that Hand of God goal didn't go in, it would have been 1-1. Maybe they could have nicked it. And he was saying that they could have won it then. They were such a good England team at the time.
Yeah. It's awful in a way. I know around the world it's become a bit of a, it's iconic, the Hand of God, and it's probably laughed at and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's such a shame in a sense from an English point of view, isn't it? What a team that was, and it's wrong. It was cheating. I know people think the world of Maradona and everything, but
yeah, it probably doesn't help that after he did the Hand of God goal, he goes and scores an absolute worldie of a goal.
Best goals ever scored.
Yeah. So almost Hand of God gets forgotten.
But it would have changed the game, and obviously we're not here to talk about all of that, but in the sense that it's a kind of shame for Lineker's career and all the great players that are in, was that the team with was it Gordon Banks in that team?
Yeah.
Was it Shilton?
No, I don't think Banks would have been.
Was it Shilton then? Shilton back then, again, legendary keeper.
He roomed with Shilton. So he used to be good friends with him.
So it was Shilton. Yeah, but it's before we were born. So this is it. We grew up hearing these stories, didn't we?
Yeah.
So iconic player, and and in our lifetime, we see him as the match of the day host, and as well as other things. He's hosted other programs and game shows, even I think. And
I think more so in the last year, we've always seen him as a host asking the questions in Match of the Day.
Yeah.
In the last year, we've seen the rest is football. We've seen Micah Richards bringing the questions to Lineker more.
So we get to see more of his
we hear,
viewpoints and things.
Yeah, we hear far more of his experiences, his footballing career in Wrestlers Football, as well as his actual tactical analysis that we saw recently in the Euros, which... That was amazing.
All these, that was it. When he was talking about how strikers should move and things like that, the insight that he was able to give. I mean, he was literally a world-class striker.
Yeah.
Yet all these years, he hasn't been able. As a host, he's meant to be unbiased and he's meant to just ask the questions. We've missed out on all of that in a sense.
He asks Shearer the striker questions, but actually Lineker was. I mean, it wasn't necessarily. It's difficult to say he was as prolific because technically Shearer scored more goals. But the thing is,
he's at least as qualified, isn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. He would have made as much of an impact in his era as Shearer did in his own.
Well, there we go. I mean, we could speak for so much more time on Gary Lineker. He's a legend in so many ways. And with that, I do want to talk a bit about his hosting career.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, we've grown up watching him on the TV and seeing how he does it, but how he does it so naturally. Something that people won't think about. They just sit and they can watch and they can enjoy it. You know, he's got the right mannerisms, the right personality. I think the England career might help. He's a legend. You believe what he's going to say if he ever says stuff. And that might carry something with it as well. He is a legend in the football world. He's almost football royalty.
He jokes about as well, you know, with his little puns and
sort
stuff.
Of, dad jokes at the end of every show.
That's very much our kind of humour as well.
And that helps us, I guess. Yeah, because he's brilliant. But also, that's going to be a miss, isn't it? If someone else comes in and does that, we're not accepting that.
No. So, you have to call them like Linekerisms. I don't know.
Yeah, he deserves to have his own. Yeah, they're really sort of cheesy puns and things. And he'd end every match of the day. You know, it's often around midnight on a Saturday, but he'd come out with these great little jokes and things.
Yeah. Do you remember Alistair McGowan, the impressionist? He used to do the best Gary Lineker impressions, didn't he?
Oh,
that was amazing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, God, that's gone back to the 90s. This is the thing. We've grown up with this. It's younger people, younger listeners won't understand how iconic this guy is.
No. It'll be
so
like
important to football.
Yeah, I can't think of any other hosts that it could relate to.
That's it. He's just, and that's the thing. But he can also host other things. I've seen him host other programs, things like that. He's so good with his tone. He does Sports Personality of the Year as well.
Yeah,
or he has done. But let's look at what he's really good at. So he's obviously good at reading the moment, and he's good at the tone and posing the right questions. But in terms of reading the moment, you remember like the difficult moments as well when he's been the host and he's been able to get the tone right. And he's always able to just sort of, if it's calming Ericsson, things down, the Ericsson
collapsing, and
and was that the Euros, that one?
That was the Euros, not the one just gone, the one before.
And he reads the moment, he's able to get the tone and that's such a difficult thing to do. How he sort of creates the atmosphere with and tries to keep things going, because everyone's just kind of gobsmacked and don't know what to say, and he's able to just keep the program moving and be able to keep sort of thinking positive and whatever it is, he's just so good at what he does. Going on in terms of the right questions as well, the way he gets the questions and keeps the show flowing, it almost feels like a natural conversation.
It really does, actually. That's a very good point, because he reads certain things from auto cues and he has notes.
Yeah.
But he just does make it seem, even on a live show, for example, well, actually, Match of the Day is technically...
It is actually live. In a sense.
Yeah. He is able to make it seem as though it wasn't really planned as such. It was just they'd sit in his living room and have a little chat. Yeah,
that's what it feels like. He's so natural.
Yeah.
In how he keeps that conversation flowing, and I don't know, he's done this amazing thing where he also, even though he's clearly a Leicester fan and everything like that, but I don't know if this is just me, but I feel like no one dislikes him, no matter what their football allegiances are. Football can be quite tribal.
Yeah.
I'm an Arsenal fan, I love Gary Lineker, he sometimes always just stays somehow in the middle. He clearly doesn't have a bias.
Sometimes always.
Oh, did I say that?
Yeah. Wow.
Well, it's very good. Like, there's a lot of pundits out there that are such a bias against your club or whatever, where he doesn't seem to have that. He clearly supports Leicester, but I don't dislike him. He never would say anything with malice or anything against any other team.
Yeah, I think it helps that he started in an era before social media.
Maybe.
And before things like YouTube and stuff like that, where it's all opinion-based. So he started off in Match of the Day, where you get brought up in BBC to be unbiased, and then you're a host of the Match of the Day, in which case you have to be unbiased. He probably went 10 years knowing you have to be unbiased.
It trained him up in that way, I guess.
Yeah, now it's just normal to him that he doesn't just sway. It was probably hard for him to sway to Leicester anyway, because a lot of the times they weren't in the Premier League. So.
Yeah, and he can laugh at that as well. That's the thing. He's got a natural kind of aura. He can laugh at his own club. He's got, he's happy to take the hit and take the stick as much as anything as well.
He was very good at that. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. He's probably the second most unbiased football talking person after
Journalist?
me. I'm not a journalist, but
I thought you were talking about me. Oh, no, you're not a journalist.
You're one of the most biased people there is.
Anyway, I think, so we could talk about Gary Lineker for so much longer.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a real problem then. So let's get on to the fixing. Yeah. What match of the day going to do now? This is a big one, Sess. This is a big job.
This is actually quite personal to us as well. Because if it doesn't get fixed properly, then I think we're going to see match of the day differently.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't affect the games.
No, exactly, but we actually care about this one.
Yeah.
These are big shoes to fill. I mean,
that is true.
I don't think I'm ready for the role yet. I think it's come too early for me.
Yeah. So I think you also have to
who's going to keep
stop being so biased. I've already turned it down.
Oh, right.
I just don't want the limelight.
I just think who's going to keep the seat warm until I am ready for it. So we need to figure out who's going to be in there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, before you decided to run the show to the ground with your biasness.
Biasness?
Yeah. You'd only invite Martin Keown, and when Keown says something stupid, you have to go, "Oh, Martin, why did you say that?"
Rubbish. So, what do we do? So, we genuinely, how do you replace... Ultimately, we're going to have to... We can't replicate Gary Lineker. You can't ask someone to come in...
You don't find Gary 2.0.
No, exactly. No. And I don't think it would ever be the same if someone comes in and tries to do the same stuff. Imagine if someone came in and started doing the same punny jokes. There'd be boos and things, it just wouldn't work. So,
and also, he's created such a rapport with Shearer's number 2, really, isn't he? And you've got Micah and Martin Keown, Danny Murphy. They kind of take up the third seat.
Yeah.
But Lineker has created such a rapport with them that I don't think you can try and replicate. It's kind of like the same as on Top
Gear, lads. Yeah. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. If they try to replace Jeremy Clarkson with someone else with Hammond and May,
it wouldn't have worked. No.
Yeah. So you have to kind of...
It's a unique balance between them, yeah.
Yeah. Either you wipe the slate clean, remove everyone, and start again, or you try a different angle. You don't look for the same...
come in and have a different... I think on Match of the Day too, we've got the advantage in a way for this. One of my candidates I'd be looking at is Mark Chapman, who is a brilliant host, I think, on Match of the Day too.
Yeah, he's very good. Yeah.
But what makes him good? So he doesn't have the same footballing pedigree, if you like, as Lineker. He's come from the journalistic world, as far as I know. I don't think he was a professional footballer or anything.
No, and he does other sports as well, so it's not specifically football.
Exactly. But one thing he sort of brings is really good questioning. So he gets the best... I don't know, he sort of poses questions. I didn't think of that. Yeah, and it gets you thinking. So the Match of the Day 2 is actually a really good formula, really. I think that the type of analysis is up there with the best.
Yeah, I reckon so. He does get a bit of humour in there as well, which is...
Yeah, they have a good laugh,
I don't want it to just be serious.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We talked about pundits when we fixed pundits last season, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I think one of those features that you came up with needs to be in here as well, and that's the personality,
Yeah.
It can't just be anyone who just is a football legend necessarily. That's not it on its own. You have to have... Or you're a brilliant, just technical host. You're good at reading and speaking and stuff.
Yeah,
you have to have that bit of personality. I think that's what you have to.
Yeah, I agree with
the chemistry with your teammates, like you were saying.
Yeah, it also plays to the idea that you can't find someone like personality-wise just because of the way that media is going now. It's more streaming and shorts and these big personalities that get the headlines and stuff like that. Kind of like TalkSport. Opinion.
I worry about that.
Opinion sports or whatever. Opinion-based
journalism, or whatever it is. I don't want Match of the Day to become that. I like it to be. Maybe I'm old school in that sense, but it's formula.
Yeah.
I like. But apparently, did you hear on that one reason that Gary Lineker's leaving? They didn't agree a contract that. So there's a new director of sport at the BBC or something and just wants to shake it up or something.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that Gary Lineker didn't want to keep going, but it was just the direction that they're going in. And I'm not sure if the right contract was offered to him or something or other. So the Match of the Day seemed to be wanting to go into a new direction, which I'm a bit nervous about.
It is a worry because you know how everything tends to go the American way. After a while, fashion or whatever it is. And in America, the most watched news program is Fox News.
Oh,
I remember my favorite
great.
study of all time. I can't remember where it was from, but it was basically seeing how well informed you are about day-to-day news, judged by what news program you watch. You got like CBS and ABC, MSNBC, all of that stuff. The bottom place, like least informed, was Fox News, and that was one place below no news.
Oh wow!
So you were actually less informed watching Fox News than if you didn't watch
any
all.
news.
Yeah.
Wow, you learned less watching Fox News.
But one of the reasons why Fox News was really popular was because they had opinion-based journalists. I think they call them opinion hosts.
Right. So it's kind of quite dramatic or quite exciting to listen to. And stuff.
I mean, American news in general, all the channels, they're very opinion-based anyway. That's why they're so led by the political party that they're behind. But Fox News especially, they just scream and shout their own opinions, and it's great TV, but it's not actual. Just because they call themselves Fox News, it's not actual news. It's not
news, and it's certainly not unbiased.
No, and that's the fear that I have with Match of the Day, that they kind of feel maybe we just need a bit more opinion-based,
punchy kind of.
Yeah, things that can they can take shorts that they can put on TikTok.
Controversial things and stuff like that.
Yeah, which you don't get that in Match of the Day 1, at least, with Lineker, because it's still almost institutionalized, you know? And it's not a bad thing. I love it, and I want it to be like that. I want it to stay like that.
Yeah.
But it's almost as though the world is getting, I don't know, lazier.
But there's also the attention spans, because there's growing research to say that our attention spans are getting smaller and smaller. So this is where kind of wider things are coming in. Now it's affecting football as well. And
but does that mean then that Lineker's 63? He's about to be 64 in a couple of weeks, I think.
Wow.
Alan Shearer is 10 years younger, so he's 53, 54, something like that. Does that mean maybe the host and the other pundits will end up becoming younger and younger to try and match the
demographic of the viewers and
things?
And
you know, like Micah Richards is our age, isn't he?
Yeah, he was there to kind of, I guess, appeal to our generation and says it give us a bit of accessibility through
and the generations younger than us as well.
Yeah, true.
Because they, you know, the students you teach, for example, probably can relate to Micah Richards more than they can to Shearer or Lineker.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure that's the best either, because Micah Richards as a personality is brilliant. We have questions. Well, I know I have. I think you've agreed at times. Yeah. So his analysis sometimes needs a bit of work. I think he's best when he's on like the podcast and things like that. And actually, I don't know if you're going to plan on doing a kind of what's our top 3. So I've got Mark Chapman as one possible candidate, and also Micah Richards may be one of my choices for the host. I think he might be a better host than he is an analyst, and I don't mean that as an insult.
No, that's interesting.
You know, because he's got a great personality and he's very likable, and he asks really good questions. Like you pointed out, he asked Lineker a really important question.
He brought the best out of Lineker.
Yeah. So I think he could actually be a host that I could get behind.
Yeah, it's a very good shout, because his analysis leaves a lot to be desired. If he does decent analysis, then that's all right. But he's never said anything that's made me go, oh my God, yeah, he's right. I
didn't see that, yeah.
But then quite often he will say the very obvious things, especially in the first couple of years that he was a pundit. Yeah. He's done a lot better since
He's definitely improved, yeah.
Yeah, but the one thing that he's the best at, of any of the pundits we've seen in recent years, is definitely being able to bring the best out of others. I think Shearer and Lineker have upped their game almost because of him.
Yeah, he's got more out of them, hasn't he? Definitely. Yeah, the types of things he'll ask them, and we've seen that. It's fortunately because of the podcast, maybe that more casual setting or whatever. And you've seen him actually. It's whether he can then fit into the Match of the Day more formal setting, I suppose, because it is a bit more kind of structured.
Yeah, it's
so whether he can follow those
the
processes and the discipline of it.
Yeah. That I suppose you can't judge him based on if he does it for 1 year and then you judge him on that. Same as Lineker in the first year probably was
not necessarily
a failure, but nothing like what
you're going to improve, aren't you? So give him a chance on it. But that's what I'm not sure either of those two options. Maybe Mark Chapman, possibly. But I've seen news today, actually, at the time of recording, is Alex Scott is one of the favourites. former Arsenal legend, by the way. Just put that out there.
Yeah.
And she's a good host in general. She hosts a few other programs, sports programs, and things like that. Some live match day things and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure she's the fit I had in mind in terms of the kind of personality and stuff. You know what I'm saying about Lineker's personality and stuff? Maybe that can change, I guess. But from what I've seen of her, she's very good at what she does. Very professional. But
yeah. Well, one thing we don't want to do is, like we said before, we don't want to have a replication in a sense. So the fact that she's not exactly like Lineker,
maybe could be seen as a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to imagine her on Match of the Day 1, though. I've seen her on like Football Focus and things like that, and that's okay. Match of the Day, I've got a certain image in mind. Maybe it's just me. But I think the types of things I'm looking for, that kind of... someone who actually knows the game from the elite men's point of view possibly comes into it, and I don't mean that in a discriminatory way.
No, this is something that we've talked about before. So it's not actually being derogatory to women's football as such. It's actually, we were talking about the players in the top division playing against each other so they can relate to each other.
Yeah.
Like in the Gary Neville podcast, I've always said, haven't I, that Jill Scott doesn't seem to really fit. And it's not because she's a woman, it's because the other four guys,
as well, played at the same time in the same league against each other.
And whenever they talk about the certain stories that they have from the past, it's because they're talking about playing with or against each other, and then they bring on people like Rooney and Scholes, all of the guests. On there once. All of them, they all played together in the same league.
And they've got stories to share, because like you said, they were either against each other or with each other, so they can talk about, oh, do you remember when?
Exactly. And I would say the same. It's not just because Jill Scott's a woman. It's the same as if they had a player that played their, a man that played their entire career in the first division or second division, non-league or something, they wouldn't fit because they didn't play together. Yeah. This is what I'm trying to say. So
it's the shared stories, but also the level that we're talking about.
Yeah.
That kind of, they played in the same standard, at the same level of elite football kind of thing.
But that's one of the reasons why I think Alex Scott could work. Because
she was a brilliant footballer in the women's game, for a start.
I think she's actually very good in terms of... when I've seen her as a pundit or as a host, I think she's very good, very calm.
Yeah, she is,
And when you're the host of Match of the Day, you have to bring the best out of others. So she doesn't have to bring the stories or anything like that. True. She asks the questions.
Yeah.
So I think she could actually be pretty good. I've always liked her as a host. You know, there's some hosts that we've seen that were good at. Mark Pugach, for example. I get so annoyed with his horse racing voice.
Can you do the impression?
I think it's
off air. You do these impressions a lot, Seth.
I do. Well, it's my impression of him in everyday life, isn't it? So where he's just saying, "Darling, can you hand me the remote?"
You know, exactly. Some football podcasts out there.
He's just I don't know what it is about his voice. Even when he talks calmly, it just sounds like a horse race.
It does, and they're off.
It just really on edge all the time, and I just can't handle it. But Alex Scott has a brilliant calm host. Demeanour.
Maybe it's just maybe I'm traditionalist and seeing the Match of the Day, and I'm seeing Gary Lineker. Maybe it's that impossible job.
Being defensive because it's like, hang on, that's Gary's position.
How dare you? Yeah, I mean, because Micah works with Gary. Maybe I'm thinking of it from that sense.
Yeah,
and
could well be.
Maybe it's that. But as you're saying, I can see Alex Scott, and she's got a lot of attributes that would complement the show. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't be distraught if she was. You put it that way.
No.
Although you might argue Mark Chapman, the other candidate I kind of put forward there,
yeah,
he wasn't an elite footballer necessarily,
so that's true.
But he's just proven himself to be on Match of the Day too. His questions are brilliant.
Yeah,
he works really well with the
some
pundits
people
he gets on there.
Yeah,
he's just
some
got
people
that aura
don't have
himself.
to. Yeah, they don't have to play the sport to be allowed within it. Like Andy Goldstein, for example, on TalkSport, he's as far as I know, he didn't have a footballing career.
No.
But he's on the show with Benty, isn't he?
Yeah, he used to do Soccer AM years ago.
He did. Yeah, I think he's brilliant. On TalkSport,
he's good at annoying me.
Yeah, but that's because you're biased.
Because he is a Man United fan.
Yeah, he's pretty biased too. But the thing is, Benty and Goldstein, I think that's the best partnership on
They've
TalkSport.
got good banter between it, because Benty being an Arsenal fan, those two are always winding each other up because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's good laugh,
So I don't think you necessarily need to be elite level footballer to be considered.
Ian Wright's quite a good host, actually.
Yeah.
He's hosted various shows over the years and things like
Yeah,
that.
the one thing with Wrighty is he's pretty much the same age as Lineker.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be for various other reasons, and he's just left Match of the Day, didn't he, last season? So
Yeah, he did, yeah. Well, what about one other candidate that I've got? I think I'll bring in an Everton legend. What about Theo Walcott?
Ooh.
Because he's a brilliant... whenever he's a pundit, he's very calm, level-headed, but he can get into a bit of banter.
Yeah, he's got the ingredients,
Yeah, he can relate to the...
Hang on, Everton legend?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's an Arsenal, he's literally scored... He's a centurion.
I've told you before, he was an Everton player that you bought first.
Right.
I've told you this.
He's got over 100 goals for us.
Yeah, well, congratulations, You're welcome, is what I should say, actually. Yeah. And then you gave him back to us.
Ah, I see, right.
Yeah, and he played in his final few years as a terrible player for us.
Oh, no, yeah, he's a really good pundit, I think he'd be a miss if we moved him to host already. It's almost like the missed opportunity
possibly, but the thing
he
is,
does speak well, and he's got the good. I can see what you mean.
Yeah, and the hosting is evolving as much as punditry, I think. So the way that people were expected to host 30 years ago is different to now. And so I think he could evolve the hosting element to it. So you won't lose his punditry element, maybe, that could come into it.
Yeah, he's got the good person. He ticks a lot of those boxes. The personality. He's got the rapport with the people that he's with. Whenever he's in the studio, he has a good laugh and the banter, the respect.
Yeah,
he's played at the top level.
Yeah.
There's a lot of boxes ticked there.
Yeah, and I mean, Lineker, a few years after he retired from football, I think 94 he retired and 99 was Match of the Day. So he had a 5-year period when he was doing a few other things.
Yeah.
And then he became the host. Walcott retired 2-3 years ago. And so next year, that'll be probably about 4 years or so since he retired. And then that could kick off his career as a host in the same way that it did with Lineker.
Has it been that long already? I thought it was a couple of years ago. So what even?
Well,
he went back to Southampton after Everton, didn't he?
Yeah. I think it's been at least 2 years.
It's at least 2, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, not
anyway,
long after he retired, basically, he could begin his hosting career.
Ooh, that's it. I don't think he will. I don't think. Well, not that I'm sure he'd want to and stuff if it was, or I'm sure he'd consider it. But I'm not sure Match of the Day would pick that sort of choice. But I think you're onto something there. He might now be my. Ooh,
because he appealed to the younger audience as well.
Yeah,
he's not a guy in his 50s or 60s or something. He's
got the.
He must be similar age to us, I think.
I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
When Arsenal signed him from Southampton, he was 17 or something, and that was 2006.
Yeah, that would have been because he went to the World Cup in 2006, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and he went to World Cup having not even played for us.
Yeah,
that was it. Good shout. Right then, so now or never. Who's our top choice, Sess? We've put a lot of candidates out there.
Or I would say someone I'd be happy to go. I would actually go for Theo Walcott. Theo, get in there.
Wow, Theo.
Get your name in. Hand in a CV, like with all the lies. I can do horse riding and.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good string to your bow.
Yeah.
Ooh, my choice. Mike Richards or Theo Walcott would be my top 2, I think.
Or you have to give me one. You can't give me a top 2 here.
Oh. Should I? Theo, go on, Theo. Arsenal legend.
Everton legend. That happened to play for Arsenal before he went to Everton.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, there we go. Well, it's a tough job. It's not ready for me yet. I think that's what all the listeners were hoping.
Yeah, we all know you're not ready.
Yeah, exactly. So yet. So, what do you think? Let us know. It's a tough one. Right. Well, there's another one fixed anyway. So I think it's time for some fantasy football tips, Sess. Juicy.
Would you like your tips or mine?
John's Juicy Tips.
Yeah.
Right, it's time for some more juicy tips, and it's also time to get rid of Haaland and use all that juicy budget elsewhere in your team. And here's some players to get in. In defence, it's Vitaly Mykolenko. Everton games are boring right now, no goals going forward or conceded either. But that's great news for their defenders in FPL teams. So my pick is Mykolenko, only 4.3 million. In midfield, it's Mo Salah for Liverpool. I can't ignore the Egyptian king any longer. He really is the emperor of FPL, and he loves playing against Manchester City. He's had 11 goals against them in his career, and I back him to add a few more goals next week. And I hear you asking a question. Which forward has the most points per game this season? Remarkably, it's João Pedro for Brighton, and he's only 5.5 million. Unbelievable, Jeff. Juicy.
Thanks, John. Hopefully you've enjoyed the episode, guys. As always, please do share, like, follow, all that kind of stuff, depending on...
Yeah, and Mr. Lineker, before you retire, if you'd like to come onto the leading fixing podcast, probably, then... Yeah, come
Absolutely.
to us.
You're welcome. We'll have to see if we can squeeze you in. But it'd be nice to get you on at some point in the future.
Yeah. We can just tell Dan to go have another break, can't we? We don't need another one.
No, exactly, yeah. And it only remains for me to say, thanks, Gary. It will certainly be a crisp finish to his career.
Yeah, his relationship with the BBC was already salted.
He'll have a prawn cocktail of opportunities, no doubt, with other networks.
That's true. And Shearer couldn't save his smoky bacon.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's probably still got beef and onions with the head of the BBC.
Yeah, because they were planning to already salt and shake up the match of the day next season, weren't they?
Yeah, true. But yeah, we won't forget you, Sol and Lineker.